Good morning, trading world. It is February 23rd, 2022, 7:55 a.m., and this is my pre-market outlook and technical analysis for day trading the SPY. The title for today's outlook is Beware of News Bombs. The market is gathering to try and rally, but I have a weird feel of heaviness about the market. I commented yesterday that we haven't had a real ripping rally yet that compares in relation to the amount of sell side activity we've seen so far. Again, don't be fooled by a rally here. The week has a bear bias closing below 434.23 and has a projected retracement of about 439. Please be aware that we have news bombs that could impact the market at any time, both planned and unplanned. These news bombs could stop a rally in its tracks or extend a bounce into something substantial. Now, let's get into the levels of the day. All right, here we have the key levels of the day, starting on the resistance side, resistance decision areas. The Jack resistance is 433 through the 435 area. The Queen resistance is going to be 439 to 440 area. And the King resistance area is going to be 446 to 450. On the support side, you have Jack support at 432 to 431. On the Queen support, you have 430 to 429 area. On the King support, you have 425 to 422 area. There has been activity of a rally for more than a few days now, getting a bullish divergence on the 4-hour time frame. So this is overdue or will do to happen. And with the right news drop or lack of news, we could take off and reach clear back up to this 450 area. The battleground to go higher today is the 432, let's say 433 area, but closing above that 432 definitely puts us in a position to go higher. Again, we started the week at 434.23, so that puts our expected moves, the higher end at 446 and the lower end at 421. The main thesis for today is bullish, closing above the 429.57 area with a projected high, possible target of 438. The alternate thesis is bearish, closing below 429.57 with a projected low of 425 to 421. The current minor channel we are in is 443 down to 431, with the major channel being the 453 all the way down to 425. The next channel below us is 425 to 416. That brings us into the scenarios for today. All right, the first scenario that we have, or the most probable scenario today, is going to be a trend day up, which means we open gap up above the previous close. And what will normally happen on a trend up day is that we usually have some type of fade to kind of try to fill the gap but we usually find support on or before the previous close. Once we find that support, that gives us time to build, because there's a lot of order flow at the 430 area. So I kind of expect to kind of touch back to the 430 area today. And then once we find that support and take off, we get into the morning trend, which is going to be pretty strong, getting us up to either our queen or king resistance area. We should find that about midday, where we will chop sideways through the midday, going into the second half of the day with maybe an even further pop up or head fake, some more sideways action, and then a fade going into the close. So that's our trend day up. This is the most probable scenario and what I'll be planning for, planning to see the most today. And let's go to the next scenario. All right, the next scenario we have is the rounded reversal day type, and that's where we start the cash open with a rocket-like takeoff continuing up with the momentum from before the open, not looking back. And we'll continue this strong uptrend until our reach midday, where we'll begin to see our sideways chop action through the midday period. And here you definitely want to look for divergence, where price action is moving up, but your indicators, volume, and or internals are moving down. So if you see that here, there's a big chance that we come back down with the same force or same energy that we rolled up during the morning trend. So that is our rounded reversal day type structure. There's also, as with all of these, but there's even a more pronounced vice versa scenario, since we've already gapped so far above our previous close, which could take us basically to see some price action like this. We'll basically end up coming down, trend down for the morning, crossing the previous close, chopping sideways at our midday point, and then building a rally later in the day. So this is the rounded reversal day type structure. And our last scenario is basically an expansive range day type structure. We could look to set a decision area, upper boundary around the jack resistance area before chopping lower, then possibly giving it another try up, and at some point pushing the boundaries higher. Again, with range day scenarios, there are so many different variations that can take place, but one of the most prevalent things on range days is convergence. So between your indicators and internals, you want to pay attention to the reverses on your indicators, because price action should follow that, especially when we get to decision areas. One of the key things about range days is that we usually close back and forth over the previous close. This is one of the things that for me stick out on a range day, us crossing and closing on both sides of that previous close. So that's what I'm looking for. Those are the plans for today. As always, please define and know your risk. And with that, I'm wishing you a successful trading day. Have a great one.